G'day again guys, and thank you for joining me. Now this week I decided to tackle a piece using the medium that I have struggled the absolute most with in my artwork, and that is watercolors. I love the look of watercolor paintings. Loose, flowy landscapes, tightly detailed botanical paintings, I love them all. The transparent, glowy colors are just gorgeous, and I can easily watch watercolor swatching videos all day as I create my own work. Over the years, I have tried on numerous occasions to try and create something with these paints that fascinate me so much, but every single attempt has ended in crushing failure. And I must admit that the weight of this constant horrible failing does leave me a little bit shy to attempt using this medium again. However, in my recent studio tour, I did have a chance to go through all of my own art supplies, and as I came across my watercolor paints just sitting there in the drawer, I was really sad to see these pretty and fairly expensive paints going to waste. While I haven't ever made anything with these paints that I really liked before, I know that I'm never going to learn how to use them if I never try, so I promised today I would give them another chance. I found a reference image of a little budgie and I got ready to work. I chose the budgie because, as a bird, it's a pretty familiar subject, and there were some nice bright colours that I could use and some details that I thought would provide a good challenge. Before I even started working on this piece, I sat back and I gave myself permission to take as long as it needed to complete this piece. Now, while my brush to paper time was probably only about an hour on this piece, I spent the entire day working on this particular painting, adding a layer and allowing it to dry while I contemplated my next move. I actually found it really relaxing to just add colour and then sit back and watch what happened as it dried, trying to absorb and learn as much as I could from each and every stroke of paint. One thing that I have learnt from those hours and hours of watching YouTube videos was to use a porcelain plate to mix my colours on instead of using the little plastic palette that I've been struggling with for so long. I'm sure that experienced watercolour artists are rolling their eyes at this moment, but oh my goodness, what an incredible difference this made! For years, I have mixed my colours on that little plastic palette and it beads up, and it's pretty much impossible to see what the colour is, let alone what the strength is. And as a real beginner, I honestly didn't know how much of a problem that actually was. Not wanting to spend any money on this little throwaway project, I raided my kitchen cupboards and I grabbed one of the cheap white porcelain plates and I mixed my colours on that. And wow, the difference was so huge. I could finally see what colour I was mixing in front of me, and more importantly, I could see how strong the mix of colours was. I honestly just can't believe how such a simple change could make the painting process so much easier. Something else that made a huge difference this time around was that I finally used a dedicated watercolour brush. Now, I do own a couple of student grade, really super cheap brushes that are marketed as watercolour brushes, but they're really just kind of fluffy tack-on brushes and they don't really do what I need them to do. They do hold a lot of water, but they don't let it go. They're just kind of a big sloppy mess of brush. And once again, as a beginner, I didn't realise how difficult this was making things. I only own this one brush because it was being given away as a freebie when I bought 3 sheets of Arches paper. Of course, I buy Arches hot press paper all of the time for my colour pencil pieces. So of course, if somebody's offering me a free paintbrush to buy some extra paper, I'm going to take that deal. And I'm so glad that I did. Once again, wow, what a huge difference. This brush is a number 10 round. I think it's natural hair, but I'm not actually sure. But the control I had with this brush was just phenomenal. I could do big wet washes of colour. I could use that very fine tip for details. I could easily mop up excess water. It made such a huge difference. Using a decent brush made the whole process so much less frustrating. I was feeling so positive about this piece. Finally, I could see some hope for a good result. And then I made a mistake and I started to panic. Up until this point, I had carefully layered my colours, making them slightly darker on each pass. But as I got to the black patterns on his wings, I decided to go all in with a nice deep shade of Payne's Grey. and I immediately regretted that decision. But as this was a learning piece, I tried not to panic, and I tried to keep going just to see what would happen. Maybe I was just panicking because those darks seemed like too much without any of the other values around it. So I added the markings to his face and nostrils, but my confidence was very quickly plummeting. I let that dark layer dry, and then I started messing around trying to get the effect that I wanted. I tried blurring some of those edges, I tried lifting some colour, I even tried adding some texture with my aarrrggghhhh watercolour pencils. But the more I messed around with it, the more I started to lose the clarity of colour that I enjoyed so much in the piece to start with. So I decided to stop messing around and move on with that branch so I could wind this piece up. The roller coaster of creating art. The excitement and the high of when things go right, and those deep, grinding troughs of despair when they all go wrong. Why do we do this to ourselves and call it fun? I must admit, at this point, I added that branch without much love at all. All of my initial excitement drained. I really should have stepped away from the piece at this point. But I knew that if I stepped back, I probably would never go back and finish the piece. As the branch came together, I did find that I was happier with the overall look of the piece, but I was feeling pretty much like I had just wasted my entire day at this point. So I propped this little budgie up on my easel and I got on with my day. I got on with the housework and all those other 1,000 jobs that I need to do, and I didn't even look at the piece. And a funny thing happened when I returned to the studio. As I walked into the studio that afternoon with a fresh set of eyes, I was really surprised to say that I don't hate this piece. In fact, I kind of like it. Now, it certainly has some issues with his wing that I really don't like, and there's a bit of paint splash where I was a bit messy. But there's this colour in here on his face and his chest that I really, really love. Now, he's not a piece that's going to go on my wall or be sold to anybody, but I can honestly say that this is the first watercolour painting that I have created that I actually kind of like. I had a lot of fun creating this, and now when I look at this piece, I'm kind of inspired to try using the watercolour paints again. I learned so much from creating this piece and just observing it come together, and I'm definitely inspired to keep trying again. So overall, I think this was a really successful experiment. Now, I have uploaded the real-time video of this over on my Patreon page. Unlike most of my Patreon videos, I don't have too much instruction in this one because most of the time I had absolutely no idea what I was doing in this piece. But if you'd like to watch me blunder my way through, then that's available now. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please leave me a like or a comment to tell me what you think, and if you'd like to see some more of my work, then why not hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, guys.